Welcome to CarePod, a safe place to educate, inspire, and renew the caregiver. Listen in with our host, Dr. Kiplee Bell, as she interviews different experts along the caregiving journey.
Welcome to CarePod, where we explore leadership, caregiving, and what it truly means to care forward in an aging world. Today's conversation is deeply personal and profoundly global. I'm joined by Maiko Todoroki, a CEO, daughter, and leader navigating the intersection of legacy, responsibility, and care. Maiko leads a publicly traded company in Japan, yet, like so many high-achieving women, her most complex leadership moment did not happen in the boardroom. It happened at home. Both Maiko and I are only children, both daughters, both shaped by mothers who sacrificed everything to create opportunity, and now both caring for mothers living with dementia. In this conversation, Maiko shares the quiet, painful courage it took to ask her own mother to step away from the company she built in order to preserve her dignity, her legacy, and the future of those she led. This episode is not about loss, it's about stewardship, about what it means to lead with humanity when the cost is personal. Let's begin. So I'm here today on the CarePod. We are in Hawaii on the annual Heal, Fill, Pour retreat, our first installment for C-suite level people who find themselves in the duality of professional, personal caregiving. I'm so honored to be with Maiko Todoroki, founder of Poppins Corp. And I just want you to share your story. I'm so honored to have you with me. It's been an incredible week of transformation for us, and I thought I would be remiss to not have her on as a guest to talk about her story.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this retreat. I honestly feel so rejuvenated. I feel like I found my soul again. And so I really want to thank you for that first. So my story, it really begins with my mother. She is a founder of Poppins Corporation. She founded the company 38 years ago after founding this committee called Japan Association of Female Executives. And at that time, the women had not sort of been able to work in the society as equally as men. I mean, we're still working on that, but so 40 years ago, it was just you're supposed to stay at home. But then she actually needed to work to support me. She was a single mother. And through this Japan Association of Female Executives, she's realized that there's not many women who are married or nor have any children. And so through that sort of idea, why not? She founded this company called Poppins Corporation, which is the mission is all about empowering women. And this mission has not changed even to today, the second generation. And empowering women. So what do we need to do? We have three different pillars. We have the childcare domain, we have the senior care domain, and we have the education or training and education domain. Why childcare? Because when you have your child, or when your little one's small, they tend to have like fever 6 times a year, and so when you're assuming a big professional role, how do you manage having your child being sick, but then you don't have anyone to entrust your child with? So she decided she needed to create a quality care in this. If it's going to be managed by somebody else, or that you need to actually delegate it to somebody, it needs to be assured quality service. And so we created what's called nanny service. So it's a little bit different to babysitters. So nannies are, as you might know, the sort of the noun used in England. They're professionals in childcare, and they're trained for 4 years
Wow.
in colleges, and then they graduate to work all over the world to look after children. And so, we are now in partnership with Norland, and we train our staff. We try and sort of give that option that's above what's expected of just having a child looked after. So our policy is all about just being there for the family. We're not just supporting the child, but also the family, the mother and the father, and the happiness that comes from within. So that's the childcare part. And also, we looked at the senior care because in women's life, you have both ends, what you call sandwich generation. Once you think you're done with the childcare, you have your parents to look after, or now those gaps are becoming smaller. That now what we call double carer in Japan, which I am at the moment, you look after your parents while you're raising your children, and so it's even harder to sustain that professional sort of work style together with balancing work life. And so we also provide this very quality at home care for senior citizens. And then we have, most importantly, this education and training part, because what are the services that we're providing? What is it based on? What are the curriculums? What are the beliefs? And so we train all our nannies and care staff, as well as sort of provide training for um, the outsiders. And so every year, we go into a competition to actually um, provide these trainings for the nursery teachers across the whole of Japan, on behalf of our Ministry of Welfare. And so those are sort of the different pillars of our business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are the initiatives from the Japanese government around the dual carer role?
Right. Yeah.
What are the support systems in place, as a government to support corporations such as yourself in the care of the older adult person?
Right. So in Japan, we've really struggled with super aging and lowering birth rate issue for a long time. And unfortunately, lowering birth rate, I don't think we could stop in time. So now we're just dealing with consequences. What do we do? Because there's no way that we can actually raise it above what's necessary in order for it to sustain the population. So now we're dealing with labor shortage and super aging society, and a welfare that's set in place so that anybody who wants to have children, they are almost um, you know it's really well sort of structured for the childcare. So what we fought for this 20 years, the creche, or what we call nursery school, it starts from 57 days up to 6 years before your elementary school. It used to be state owned, and state owned meaning that they provide the very basic minimal care. And so no working parents wanted to choose a nursery school because you have this guilt conscience of I don't want to send my child to this like a room to just leave her or him there for a whole day. And so my mother looked at that and said, no, I'm going to make sure it's going to be a nursery school that even parents think, oh, I need to work so that I can send my child to
this top tier. Yeah.
So we reversed the idea, and now we're known as a brand to provide this quality care in nursery schools. And I'd love you to come and see the nursery schools because they're so architecturally beautiful, designed, and it's really, you wouldn't believe it's a nursery school.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really lovely.
Wow.
But so that we needed to, in order to sort of pass that people's mindset of, oh, I feel guilty because, I can't look after my children myself, to maybe, I can work because my child is going to be so much happier there. That would be the key turning point for us to be able to have enough people to work, come back to the workforce, including women, to be able to support this super aging society. And so I think we're not just changing, the government is supporting sort of they deregulated quite a bit, which my mother really went in to go and change all these regulations to make it more like a service hospitality industry, part of it attached to this welfare, not just the minimum sort of sad place that the children.
Yeah.
If you are holding a career in one hand and caregiving in the other, this is for you. The Caregiver Suite helps you bring order to the chaos, clarity to the healthcare maze, and support to the parts you've been carrying alone. You don't need to do more. You need a system that works.
So are you looking
Yeah.
to kind of mirror that on the older side?
So the older side, there's a different sort of system in place. There's a lot of facilities, and so if you wanted to go in, there's from 0 to 100 different sort of standard of care and practice. The problem is now the government is trying to push, because there's just going to be too many people, that the facilities are not going to be able to
handle it.
Because of the labor shortage. And so they're trying to get the family to come back in to look after their own parents, but will give you at-home care support. This is a good news. I mean, there's a good news about this too, because I do believe that, there are many people who would want to continue to live at home. But if you don't have professional help, families won't be able
To sustain it. Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing in senior care, at home care with the professionals. We have sort of just a standard care staff who help them, assist literally their everyday life. And then there are more sort of serious case where you need a nurse practitioner. And so we offer that too. So we provide that sort of expertise at home so that they don't, they can change the drip or they can help with
Right,
feeding and all
right.
that sort of thing. And then I think one thing that we really realized, we've been doing this for 27 years in senior care, realized is that, people really still sort of, unless you've actually done it, you don't know how hard it's going to be. And it's so different with childcare. Childcare, there's joy, there's precious moment, it's going to end soon. The whole sort of
The outcome, the
outcome.
trajectory. Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas with senior care, and especially your parents, you just don't know. And you see this person that you've admired and loved all your life suddenly breaking apart or being fragile or needing all that care, and then it's just so emotionally taxing for the family. So you need to, I think one thing we need to be careful is that family still think it's their duty in Japan to look after their elderly, but you also need to understand how hard it's going to be on yourself. And if you don't survive, they don't survive. So you need to take care of yourself, and therefore you need to bring in a professional. So I think I'm looking at not just the facilities, but more the in-home, at-home care.
The aging in place. Yeah. I'm just so struck by how this is just a common thread that you're on another part of the world, and these are the same, trends and pain points that we experience in the U.S. as well. Tell me about Mom. Tell me about your book.
And so this is my mother. So she wrote a book called なぜダメなのから全てが始まる which means everything starts with why not. And so and she says here that she's going to change the childcare future of Japan.
Incredible.
And so she's a founder. She started from zero. I think her asset was in like what I really believe what she had different was that this belief in life and in thinking that anything is possible if you make it possible or if you think it's possible, and she's made it happen. So little step at a time, she's built,
an empire.
Yeah. And I think she approached it from a different sort of viewpoint, which she's so. I think everybody is able to see the pain or that little needs in the market, but is anybody going to do anything about it? It's about just going for it and doing try and error, making sure that that's exactly what people need. If you think you need it as a person, as a stakeholder, as a mother, as a with a child, there's going to be millions of other people who
that'll feel the same,
would see the value.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she was a visionary. She saw that this is what needs to happen in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Empowering women 40 years ago, I mean, people would laugh at her mission. And today, everybody's talking about purpose. Everybody's talking about Asian society, this well-being in society. And I'm seeing this empowering woman on the front page of newspaper. So she saw this, some 40 years ago, that this would become a key point to sustain this well-being society and, to grow. So I think to me, my mother is a role model. She is just everything that I learned, that I hold dear to my heart. I think she really, she's the pillar of my life, I think. And I'm so thankful that she had the courage to let me go so young at 12, that she had the courage to just let me explore my own avenue until I joined Poppins. And that was all because of love and her belief in myself and in everybody else that she met in her life, I think.
So tell me about your leadership now and where you hope to continue her legacy, but also carve a path of your own as you transcend the path for Poppins Corp.
So when people used to always say that my mother is a force of life. She is like the sun. She lights up the room, and she's super energetic. But if you go too near, you get burnt. Almost. I'm the complete opposite. I was quiet. I always felt that I would never a CEO role. I think people who know me from young, they just can't believe what I'm doing right now. So for 10 years at Poppins, I stayed as a director. We had succession plans, but I was having this roller coaster ride of I'm never going to be my mother. I can never take this over. And then I remember going to Harvard graduate school with my annual training with Poppins. And there's a Dr. Linda Mills. She is about collective genius, and she wrote a book on collective genius, and she saw both of us, and she sat us down, gave us a little mini MBA class, saying that, well, you know what, your mother is like a bulldozer. She needed to be, because she started from 0 to 10 to 100. Now you have 6,000 employees. You need a different leadership. And look at Maiko. She is more like sort of the conductor of the orchestra. You have, so many people who's incredibly talented. You now need to manage those people to be able for them to do their full potential. And you can't just do everything yourself like you used to do. To my mother, that's what she said. And to me, she said that you've lived in England all your life from 12, and you didn't have any parents. You needed to listen to people. You needed people to listen to you. And so you built this skill of knowing, sort of observing, understanding the environment, how people work, what they are looking for, how to create that win-win situation. And so you're really suited to bring this forward to the next level because, look at Google, look at, all these people. Who knows the name of the CEO? You don't need to be Apple. You could be a great organization and you could be the conductor. And so I think that's the moment that we decided, okay, maybe we can do this. I don't need to be my mother. I can be myself and still have
Absolutely.
fill this role.
Absolutely. And I think you being an authentic leader now and transparent leader because of the duality now of caring for her is incredible. That's going to be an incredible testament as well. Yeah.
I think that's the in any business, I think that speaks true to anything you do, that I am not a professional entrepreneur, I'm not a professional CEO. I have, many things that I can't do, but the only thing I know that I hold is this commitment to Poppins. I know that there's not going to be anybody else who's going to be as committed. My life is Poppins, and so having your life story within your business and that it grows together from my mother's generation to my generation, and what happens to the next generation, I don't know. But I think this life is involved in the business and that you're so passionate about it. I think that transcends and that really communicates to people at the end.
Absolutely. And love.
And love.
Love transcends all. Yeah, absolutely.
And we call it like love is our growth engine. That's what we always say.
I love that.
At Poppins.
Yes,
So,
yes. So tell me, what are your final inspiration, your final inspiring words for our CarePod audience?
I think there's so much beauty and joy together with, sorrow and sadness and all that sort of very genuine emotions that, you will feel. And then I think you need to feel it because otherwise you can't be in this caregiving role. But in order to feel them, you really need to be healthy. You need to look after yourself and you need to have your own self before being a caregiver. You might be a daughter, you might be a mother, you have different roles. And then I think, you just need find to be you without any title, without any sort of credentials. And that time is so precious in order for you to
pour.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so glad to have you as a guest. And
I'm so honored.
Yes, me
Thank
too.
you so much.
Yes, I feel like I've met a friend for life. So yes.
What Maiko reminds us is this: leadership does not end when certainty does. Caring for a parent with dementia reshapes how we see power, identity, and responsibility. And for leaders, that reckoning is often carried quietly, without language, without space, and without community. During our time together in Hawaii, Maiko shared how restorative it was to step out of the boardroom and into a space designed not to fix, but to hold, to breathe, to reflect, and to lead from a place from fullness rather than depletion. As we look ahead to our next global gathering in the Philippines, the conversation becomes even more meaningful. We create intentional spaces for leaders across cultures and disciplines to rest on purpose, to examine legacy, and to reimagine leadership in an aging world. Thank you for listening and for being a part of a community that understands.
Great information right from the source. For more information on how to caregive like a boss, check out impactfulcaregiving.com. Want to be a guest on the show? Contact us at CarePod at impactfulcaregiving.com.